I was actually looking at the lineup in the last week, and so I felt like apologising for not actually mentioning Brexit, because there's a huge amount of Brexit around the conference. But I guess, as John says, probably the biggest challenge facing our industry at the current time is Brexit. So perhaps innovation is exactly the way to tackle it, and to find new ways, whether that's supply chain, whether that's just thinking outside the box, to use that lovely management expression, around how we actually adapt to it and get on and get around it, because there obviously is a future after Brexit, whatever that may be, and we have to continue to strive for that. So thank you for your time, and I think we've got about 15 or 20 minutes. So innovate or evaporate, quite dramatic, but I guess that's what we kind of do at things like that. And I suppose all we're trying to say here is that innovation is something that businesses need to continue to do, and we all know the expression that if you stand still, you actually go backwards. So it is important that you keep pushing forward in terms of your thinking and what you do as a business. So the business started actually 18 years ago now, so we're 18 years old, so we're kind of grown up, I guess, at this stage. And the three founders, John, Adam and Rich, did actually come together. They were always entrepreneurial when they were in college. They actually set up and they ran some discos and dances and things like that, and they actually made money while they were in college. So they were young guys who were always ambitious, always looking to form a business. And when the time came to it, they wanted to start a business that was going to do something good for people. And the first idea they came up with was the amazing electric bath, which, having thought about sort of fairly quickly, realised that wasn't going to work out. So they very quickly moved on to the idea of the smoothie, thankfully. So the innocent smoothies were born in London, and they started there. And basically it's gone on from strength to strength since that particular time. Okay. As John said, how they started was they literally had good jobs. John had a job with Bain Company, Adam was with a marketing agency, so they had really, really good jobs. But they actually went out and said, we're going to start making smoothies in our kitchen. They went to a festival, they set up a stall, they put the bins out, as John said, and the bins were full. So the following Monday morning, they all agreed to hand in their notice, and at 10 o'clock, one of them called the other, and have you done it yet? No. At lunchtime, same thing happened. Have you done it yet? No, because they were scared. It was a huge step. They were leaving really, really big jobs to go and achieve their dreams. So eventually, at the end of the day, they did it, and thankfully they did. Rumour has it that in the no bin, there was a couple of votes, and years later they found out that was actually their parents who were at the festival who put their votes into the bin, because they obviously wanted them to keep their good jobs. So I suppose from an innovation perspective, I'm going to talk a little bit about Innocent and how we approach things, and maybe think a little bit differently, update in terms of some of the stuff that we've done so far, and maybe some of the lessons that we've learnt along the way. So what was unusual about the small business, particularly in FMCG, is they actually set themselves up with a purpose. And I suppose not a lot of people think about that. They think about getting a listing in Dunn's, or they think about their packaging, or they think about how can I get my first sales, how can I deal with the bank loan and that kind of thing. These guys were innovative because they thought about a purpose. They thought about, why are we here, what do we want to achieve? And I think that was probably slightly different for a small startup. So the purpose was to make natural, delicious food and drink to help people live well and die old. So again, not the kind of language that you want to talk about. If you're starting a brand, you want to talk about people dying, all that. But again, they're slightly different take on things. They want to reflect, the absolute natural state of things. And ultimately, if you can get good stuff into your body, you are going to have a healthier and better life. And that was their purpose. So along with a purpose, you have to have a vision, and their vision was to be, the Earth's favourite little healthy food and drinks company, and they've always had that since the start of the setup of the business. So in 1999, they call themselves London's favourite little juice company. They took a rest after that because they were a bit tired, probably had a few beers and whatever else, pizza. And then they moved on, and I suppose in Ireland, the business actually came to Ireland fairly quickly after the business started. The brand arrived in Ireland because people in Ireland, distributors, tend to be industrious, and they go to different places and they see these products and they bring them back, and that's still happening today, and that's why there's a lot of strong distribution companies in Ireland. But it started in Ireland pretty much the same time as the UK, and in 2013 I'm very pleased to say that we became Ireland's little number one juice brand as Innocent in Ireland. And then in 2016 we became Europe's favourite little juice brand. So again, these are Nielsen numbers, so you're just getting bigger and bigger. Okay. One of the other things that the guys did that are still valid today is they set up some values within the business, and there's to be natural, entrepreneurial, responsible, commercial, and generous. And these values are massively important to us. Now, I know if you go into a bank or a retailer, everybody seems to have values these days, and they're on the wall or they're on a presentation somewhere, but these values are actually lived in the Innocent business every day. We hire people through these values, so if you have the skill set to be able to do the job, but we don't feel that there's a fit in terms of the values or what you're trying to do or your own individual purpose, but there's a chance that you won't actually get the job. So really, really important to us, and we live through these, and we actually do our range reviews and our reviews of people through these values as well. So really, really important to us as a business. We reflect that in our products as well and in our labels. So again, when the business was started, we've always donated 10% of our profits to charity. And actually, even in years where we haven't made a profit, that donation still happens. And again, that comes back to the purpose of doing something good and leaving things a little bit better than you find them. So probably not uncommon today. There's an awful lot of companies out there that are doing this, and it's great to see that, and we're never afraid to be copied, or for people who sort of look at packaging and the way that we've approached things, and if they do what Innocent have done or did 18 years ago, we're really, really proud of that, because that's, again, a good sign that we're doing something right. So that promise of taste good, does good, and giving back to charity is something that's really, really important to us, and that's why we put it on our bottles, and that's why we do it as part of our business model. One of the other things that we always did, I suppose, from day one was we saw consumers, who we call drinkers, as being absolutely fundamental to the business, to be front and centre of everything that we do. So rather than thinking about what we need or what the customer needs, is putting that drinker out there. And we've always had the banana phone. This is a picture of the original banana phone. And we've always encouraged on our packaging for consumers or drinkers to get in touch with us and to call us and talk to us or ask us questions, or if they have a problem with a product or whatever it might be, just to get in touch and to talk to us, even if that was a problem or if they had a complaint, because if they were engaging with us, that gave us a chance to deal with their issue if they had an issue, or just to basically find out more about them, what they liked about our products and things. So we still use the banana phone today. It's a little bit more modern than that, what you see in the picture, but it's still valued to us, and it's on all of our packaging, etc. And it allows us to have great conversations, and I think that's a buzzword at the moment, about two-way communication with drinkers, and that still rings all day, every day in our office. Okay. So one of the other things we like to do at Innocent, and probably we like to have fun with stuff. So this is a picture of reception, and we've got a sign saying home and work up the stairs. A lot of people talk about work-life balance nowadays, and in Innocent we believe that actually, work-life balance is really, really difficult to achieve unless you actually enjoy working, because if you're putting your head on your pillow on a Sunday night and you're thinking, oh my God, I have to go to that office tomorrow, you're never really going to achieve that work-life balance, because you're always thinking about, how do I separate my life from my work life? And we believe that actually, you should see those as seamless things, and going to work should be enjoyable, going home should be enjoyable, flexible work arrangements, all those type of things really help define the culture. And I think that, again, is something that a lot of companies talk about, or there's a lot of discussion around how do we, retain and attract new talent. And they talk about flexible working, things like that. But then when you actually get in, if you're not at your desk and your boss is saying, well, where's Johnny today, or whatever it is, you really have to believe it, and you really have to encourage people that once they're doing the job and they're achieving what they need to achieve, it doesn't really matter where they are, and that line between work and the office and what you do actually should blur, and that's what we try and do, and we try and have a bit of fun with that. Here's an example of what we call chiller. So a good few years ago, we have a scholarship, and every quarter everybody in the business can apply for a scholarship to do whatever you want to do, and it has to be legal, it has to be for your own personal development, or it has to be about fun. Okay, so this is actually the finance team in Innocent, and the scholarship is £1,000 or €1,500 actually. That's the exchange rate at the time. To basically go and invest in something. So these guys decided we just wanted to make a video for the crack, and they did. If any fans of Michael Jackson out there, had a big song called Thriller, and this was Chiller, and they basically made, because our drinks are sold in a chiller, they basically made a video, and the company basically is prepared to invest in that kind of thing, so that staff have a good time, you can have a bit of fun with work. It's not all about the serious stuff, although the serious stuff does matter as well. And on the serious stuff, we do have an Innocent Foundation. So how we donate 10% of our profits to charity. We do things like the Big Knit with Age Action in Ireland. We do things with GIY in terms of sow and grow and getting children in schools to learn about where fruit and veg comes from and how they grow their own. But the main driver of that donation is the Innocent Foundation. And there's, of course, 4 different streams to that. There's seed funding for businesses, particularly in countries where the fruit comes from. So poorer markets where maybe farmers are trying to get set up a co-op, or they're trying to learn some farming practices to try and improve their yield of their crops and things like that. So seed funding, local food poverty, whether that's in Ireland or the UK or any of the markets that we operate in. Breakthrough development. So at the moment we're working with Action Against Hunger, and Action Against Hunger is a great organisation which are looking at new ways to execute and deal with hunger and starvation in the field, because one of the challenges with hunger is that we actually have a cure for hunger. It's just a logistical challenge of how do you actually deal with that, and every 15 seconds in this world a child is dying from malnutrition, and that's a really big issue. So we want to try and help against that. So this year and last year we're investing £1 million with Action Against Hunger to try and improve that logistical way of getting food to people and dealing with malnutrition. And then emergency hunger relief, wherever that may be, we will make donations through that. So it's really, really important to us. It's really important to everybody who works in Innocent that every day they go to work, they know that they're making a difference in terms of people's lives. So we started small and we spread our wings. So like this particular chart, because obviously there's quite a few countries in there. So we are primarily European focused. So UK, Germany, France, Austria, Spain, all that kind of stuff. And actually we've started to sell some stuff in Moscow more recently as well. So starting to spread our wings, which is great to see. And in fact, last year we became the fastest growing drinks brand, soft drinks brand said here from the Nielsen data, in Europe. So, up against Red Bull, Pepsi, Nestle, all of those things. So Innocent really, really growing from strength to strength, and, really, really happy that that's the case, and we're going to continue to do that. How do we get there? Innovation is obviously key to do that. So even though we've got bigger and we're growing and we're spreading our wings, our founding thought and our purpose and our values are still just as important today as they were when the business was set up. So making it easier for people to do themselves some good is still at the heart of everything that we do. And you can see that, when we started off with just some smoothies and a 250ml bottle, the small bottle here on the top on my left hand side, we've gone to extend the range right across different varieties of smoothies, added benefit smoothies, kids, juices, refreshment products, etc., etc. So the portfolio is massively expanded, and that's again where the innovation has come into it. We couldn't, if we just stayed focused on smoothies or the same range of smoothies, we would definitely be left behind. That whole market has exploded. There's more competitors in there. There's more added benefits products, whether it's chia, whether it's spices, whatever it is, coming onto the market all the time. So you cannot stand still. You have to keep moving and adapting. And that's what we've done, and that's what we've done with our range. So things like coconut water and products like that in recent years are niche categories, but becoming bigger and becoming more mainstream. And we need to play in those spaces, and that's what we're doing. It's a challenge from a supply chain perspective, as John said. We're complicated. We deal in fruit. And there's nothing in there but fruit, so ultimately it is a challenge to continue to add to our range and to make that relevant and viable on an ongoing basis. Okay. And I suppose just to take that a little bit further in terms of innovation and why it's important to innovate, because when we first launched juice, we were in a Tetra carton, in a 1 litre Tetra carton that looks like this. Okay, and if we stayed like that, who knows what would have happened to business, but it was quite small. A number of years ago, 2010 in fact, in 2011, we changed the packaging. So another example of great innovation, where we moved to a PET bottle, which just brings out the fresh, natural hues of the product. You can see the product, and what that has meant actually, that instead of having a juice business that after 3 years was worth 3 million, it's worth 100 million after 3 years. So again, not just the packaging that's done that. That's obviously the expansion into other markets and things like that. But the question remains, if you hadn't evolved the packaging, if you hadn't thought of to make that bold move to change that, well then the chances are that business might be 4 million now, 5 million. It certainly wouldn't be the scale that it is right now. Again, past performance is no indicator of future performance. So that's the original smoothie design that we had since the start. There have been a few tweaks to it, but again, it was in a Tetra carton. And last year, we changed that to a PET bottle again. So clean labeling, bringing again the idea of the product and what's in the product, actually changing the name to calling something like Seriously Strawberry, which again, a bold move, because you wonder, are people, you're having a bit of a play on the word, are you going to lose consumers, will they get it, that kind of thing. And again, the reality there was that within the smoothie market that had matured quite a bit, the rate of sale on smoothies was down. And in order to sort of, I suppose, change that, as leader in the category, we saw it as our role to take that forward, and hence the design in terms of the change of the range. And now we're seeing a 20% increase in the rate of sale of smoothies. And in fact, the smoothies market is growing in a short term on a 12-week basis at about 20% right now as well. And that's been led by Innocent. So again, a really good example of whereby just because you have something that's working and maybe a little bit dormant, that you do need to change it and you do need to mix up your game. Okay, so some good examples of how we've innovated there, even as we've grown. And I suppose that's the important thing here. Even if your business is growing, you cannot rest on your laurels. You have to continue to innovate, and you have to look forward to what's around the corner. Some of the things that we've learned along the way is that, we use this language to keep the main thing. So just because it looks like an orange doesn't necessarily mean it's an orange. Just because you say you're going to do something, and you put it in your marketing spiel, or you put it out there, doesn't work. You've actually got to believe it. You've got to deliver on that. And if you don't do that, you will come undone. You will not be true to your purpose. You will not deliver on what it is that you want to achieve. So, keeping the main thing, coming back, checking in on that. Why are we doing this? Why do we want to do it? Will it help us grow the business? Will it be sustainable? Will it allow us to do the 10% donation to the foundation, etc.? All of those things are part of the decision-making process that we still use today. People, again, thrown out there quite easily, looking after people, have people look after them. I've used the word great here on purpose, because actually every organisation has great people, but not everybody's great. And a lot of people think Innocent, you come into Innocent, it's, you go around in your shorts, and somebody has seen me in my shorts recently at another presentation, and it is relaxed, but it's actually very, very serious. And we give people a huge amount of freedom in the business to come up with ideas. And we say, if you're 70% sure of something, you go to board, one of my team comes to me, look, we're 70% sure this is a good idea. That's all we need. We don't need to be 99% sure. If you're 70% sure, there's a good chance that you're right on your gut feel. And if you're wrong, you'll learn from that experience. And that's something that we try and do. So there is a very high expectation from our people. And, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'm glad to say an awful lot of people that are in Innocent stay there quite a long time, and, they do bring value every day, and that's part of what we do. But you do need to look after them. Again, you need to give them the freedom for them to develop, and a lot of people that leave Innocent go on to actually other startup businesses, and they go to try and bring the Innocent experience to grow other businesses and look for equity in those businesses and things like that, which is great to see. Keep it simple. We have a thing called the granny test. So, you can use acronyms like IoT or SEOs or whatever it might be. Simplification in our business is really, really important. So if we have a meeting, we're really clear on what the purpose of that meeting is. What are we trying to achieve out of it? If we have a marketing campaign, what is it about? What is it that we're trying to do? And ultimately, if you can bring a proposal to board or to anybody in the business, and it's simple and your granny can understand it, that's a level or a lens that we use to say, that's a good idea, because it's clarity, you've thought it through. It doesn't mean that it's simplistic as an idea, it just means that it's simply presented and simply thought through. So a granny test, really important as well. Taking care of the details. Everyone's really busy. The business is growing fast. What do? Do you focus on getting the revenue? Do you focus on the profit? For us, yes, absolutely you do that. But you also got to take care of the details. So getting back to the drinkers again and communicating with the drinkers and keeping them front and centre. On the left here is a card from Quiva, who's a girl who's 8 years of age. And sometimes people just write to us and, tell us stories or tell us jokes or whatever it might be, and we write back to them. The middle picture, flowers from two boys in Cork, and again we respond to them. And of course our vans, our grassy vans, again very easy, just to put a sign on the van, no maintenance, no hassle. We have to buy those vans, we can't lease them. Why? Because we stick a load of grass on them. And if you stick a load of grass on the van, guess what? The leasing company doesn't want it back because it's full of glue, right? So the reality is, you make that bold move, you buy the thing outright, you brand it like you want to because it's taking care of the details. So that's a mobile ad. When it's driving around, it has value. So rather than trying to let your finance people say, oh no, I want to write that off over 3 years or 4 years, buy the shagging thing, make it look good, make it true to your purpose, and really bring your brand to life. So, taking care of the details, despite how fast you're growing, really, really important. Never listen to no. So not long after we started a campaign called The Big Knit, where we asked people to voluntarily knit loads of little hats and we put them on our bottles. We call it a Big Knit campaign. We do it every year. And basically what that's allowed us to do is it's allowed us to donate money to good causes like Age Action in Ireland, where there's a care and repair service for people in their homes. But it also allows us to connect with drinkers, to consumers. And we've donated over 4 million in terms of charity as a result of this. But what's even better is from a brand building exercise, it's been really, really fantastic, and it's connected with consumers. And we now do that in the UK, in Germany, in France, in Denmark, in Austria, and it's really, really part of the campaign. It's a massive nightmare. So again, taking care of the details. Somebody has to put one of those hats on every single one of those bottles that we sell. You have to change the case. We go from an SRP case to a fully cardboard case. Huge amount of detail. Everybody who knits a hat gets a handwritten response. So, in Ireland last year, we wrote about 15,000 handwritten responses. In the UK, it was about 50,000 handwritten responses. Yes, you can get a machine to do that. Yes, you can print that. But again, taking care of the details. If someone's going to take 20 minutes to knit a hat for us, we think they deserve a handwritten note of thank you. And that's what we do. And it really, really connects. From an entrepreneur's point of view, this is how we see how the entrepreneur's brain works. And in your head, you're saying, yes, I can do this. Yes, I want to do this. Yes, there's a way to do this. But everywhere around you, including in your own business, whether it's your MD or your finance manager or the bank manager or your wife or your husband or whatever it might be, oh, no, this is difficult. But, the Big Knit is a challenge whereby everyone said no initially. But, in fairness to the guy who started it, basically he got it through, and it's now one of the most successful things that we've ever done. So, keep on keeping on is the expression that we moved at. If you really believe in it, if you're 70% sure, keep pushing it. Don't take no for an answer. Okay? So again, innovation falls into that space. Innovation by its very nature is going to be different. There's going to be challenges, but if you push through, it can definitely win. An expression that I'm one of my particular favorites from Walt Disney, and a Walt Disney fan. If you dream it, you can do it. And that's very much something that I live by, and it fits well with Innocent as well. That you might not necessarily do it in year one, but if you've got that vision, you set yourself out on that path, and you stick true to your purpose. You can actually achieve what you want to achieve. And at no stage really did the guys who started the business think that they wouldn't be successful. There was massively challenges in years within that, but they did push on and they did get to where they needed to get to in terms of their vision. So I'll leave you, this is my last slide. So basically, really, really important that even though you innovate, that you are true to your purpose. And, for us, no matter what you do, behave yourself, act responsibly, be sustainable, do everything that you can do, in the right way, and give something back. Because if you do that, you will create that virtuous circle, and it will come back to you in spades. And that's where innovation, I think, comes from. If you do the right things, if you're challenging into new areas, if you're doing it for the right reasons, I think you can only get support from the trade, from consumers, and from your own team in terms of achieving that, and you will be successful. So, in terms of the lessons that we've learned, that's definitely been something that's good to us. So, that's me. Thank you for your time.